If you're planning to move to Thailand for a better life, hold on. What you're about to see isn't in any travel vlog. This is the reality YouTube creators don't want you to know. A couple in their 70s just landed in Bangkok from Florida. They'd done their research, avoided Chiang Mai because of the pollution, chose Bangkok specifically because they thought the air would be better. Within 1 week, the husband was at the pharmacy with respiratory problems. His asthma, which had been manageable in Florida, became a daily struggle. Their rental apartment smelled like exhaust fumes from the air conditioning. Walking past the local 7-Eleven meant holding their breath to avoid motorbike fumes. They have an LTR visa, a long-term commitment. But after 7 days, they're already considering leaving Thailand entirely. And they're not alone. Everyone talks about Thailand's visa crackdowns, the rising costs, the tourist scams. But what they don't talk about are the problems that can actually ruin your health, drain your savings, or break you down psychologically. These are the hidden issues nobody mentions until it's too late. The things that make long-term expats pack up and leave after years of trying to make it work. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Thailand isn't the paradise YouTube sells you. And more importantly, you'll know exactly what you're signing up for before you buy that ticket. Let's break this down. Let me start with the problem that's affecting millions of people right now, but gets almost no coverage in travel content. Air pollution. And I'm not talking about occasional smoggy days. I'm talking about a seasonal crisis that makes parts of Thailand nearly unlivable for months at a time. Here's what most people don't know. Thailand has a pollution season. Every year, from roughly January to April, the air quality in many parts of the country becomes dangerous. Bangkok regularly sees AQI levels, that's air quality index, spike over 150 during these months. That's classified as unhealthy. For context, anything over 100 is considered harmful for sensitive groups. Over 150, everyone starts feeling it. Over 300, you're supposed to stay indoors. Chiang Mai, the digital nomad capital that everyone recommends. During burning season, it often ranks among the most polluted cities in the world, worse than many cities in China or India during peak pollution periods. Why does this happen? 3 main reasons. First, crop burning. Farmers across northern Thailand and neighbouring countries burn their fields to prepare for the next planting season. It's cheap, it's fast, and it's been traditional practice for generations. The smoke from these burns doesn't just stay local. Our wind patterns carry it across entire regions. Second, traffic. Bangkok has over 10 million vehicles, many running on outdated diesel engines. That's constant exhaust mixing with everything else. Third, weather patterns. Thailand's dry season creates something called temperature inversion. Basically, a layer of warm air traps pollution close to the ground, like putting a lid over a city. The pollution can't escape upward, so it just accumulates. Now you might be thinking, okay, but how bad is it really? Let me tell you what PM 2.5 particles actually do. These are particles so small they're about 1/100th the width of a human hair. You can't see them, you can't filter them with a regular mask, and they don't just cause coughing, they penetrate deep into your lungs, they enter your bloodstream. Studies have linked long-term exposure to heart disease, strokes, lung cancer, and developmental problems in children. A 2023 study in Thailand estimated over 1,000 deaths annually from cardiopulmonary disease caused by air pollution, over 300 lung cancer deaths. These aren't projections, these are documented cases. And here's what nobody tells you about daily life during pollution season. You wake up with itchy, burning eyes, your throat feels scratchy, you develop a persistent cough that won't go away. If you exercise outdoors, you feel it immediately. Shortness of breath, tightness in your chest. Street vendors, the people who define Bangkok's food culture, are outside breathing this air for 12 hours a day. Motorbike taxi drivers, delivery workers, construction labourers, they're getting the worst of it. And expats who move here thinking they'll ride motorbikes everywhere, go for morning jogs, enjoy outdoor cafes. They're inhaling this constantly without realising the long-term damage. The couple I mentioned at the beginning. They didn't know about this. YouTube videos showed them beautiful beaches and temples. Nobody mentioned that walking outside in Bangkok during certain months would trigger asthma attacks. Now they're looking at buying air purifiers for every room, wearing N95 masks indoors, reconsidering whether they can actually live long-term in a place where breathing the air is hazardous several months a year. Is the Thai government doing anything about it? They've tried. Vehicle emission checks, bans on crop burning, cloud seeding to try to wash pollution out of the air, but enforcement is weak. Farmers still burn because it's economical, and no one's seriously stopping them. And the cultural aspect matters here. Agriculture is fundamental to Thailand's economy and food security. Telling farmers to stop burning is like telling them to abandon a practice their families have used for centuries. Change is slow, so if you're planning to move to Thailand, here's what you need to know. The pollution is real. It's not exaggerated. and it affects your daily life in ways you won't anticipate until you're living through it. You'll need air purifiers running constantly. You'll need to check AQI apps daily to plan outdoor activities. You'll need to accept that for several months each year the air you're breathing is harmful. That's not a deal breaker for everyone, but it's something you need to factor into your decision, because health problems don't announce themselves immediately. They accumulate over years. Now let's talk about money, because Thailand markets itself as a budget paradise, and in many ways it is, but there are financial traps that catch people off guard, costs and systems that aren't obvious until you're already committed. Let me start with something that still bothers many expats, even though it's widely known: dual pricing. Thailand has a two-tier pricing system for many things. Thai citizens pay one price, foreigners pay another, sometimes double, sometimes 10 times more. National parks charge foreigners significantly higher entry fees. Some hospitals have different pricing structures. Certain rental agreements, even some local attractions. Is it legal? Yes. Is it fair? That's debatable. But it's reality, and while most expats know about this by now, it's still frustrating every time you encounter it. You're paying more simply for not being Thai. Not because you're wealthy, not because you're receiving better service, just because you're foreign. Now, let's talk about visa insecurity. This is a big one. Thailand's visa rules change frequently, and often without much warning. I covered the recent crackdown in another video, but the broader issue is that long-term residents never feel truly secure. Retirement visas require proof of income, or banked funds. Those requirements can shift. Extension rules get tightened. Visa runs that worked for years suddenly don't. Immigration officers have discretion, which means what works at one office might not work at another. Many retirees experience anxiety every year. When their visa comes up for renewal, they're never certain the rules will stay the same. They're never sure they'll be allowed to stay. One policy change and their entire life plan could collapse. Compare that to countries with more stable immigration frameworks, and you understand why some expats eventually leave Thailand despite loving it. The uncertainty wears you down. Now here's a financial trap that destroys people, but nobody wants to discuss openly until it's too late. Relationship expenses. Let me be very careful how I phrase this. Thai culture places heavy emphasis on family support. That's not unique to Thailand. Many cultures operate this way. But for Western expats used to financial independence, the expectations can be shocking. You're not just dating a person, you're entering a network, an extended family that may have financial needs, and there's cultural pressure, sometimes explicit, often implicit, to help. Suddenly you're funding a new roof for the family home in the village, paying for a younger sibling's education, covering medical bills for a grandparent, dealing with an emergency every few months, the sick buffalo, the motorcycle that broke down, the uncle who needs money. Some of this is legitimate need. Some of it is testing how much you'll give. And if you're not careful, you can find yourself funding an entire extended family without realizing it became your responsibility. I'm not saying all relationships in Thailand are transactional, many are genuine, but the cultural expectations around financial support are real, and Western men who move here often don't understand the depth of obligation they're taking on. And then there's the land ownership issue. This is critical. Foreigners cannot own land in Thailand. You can own a condo unit, you can lease land long term, but you cannot own the actual land property sits on. So what do many expats do? They buy land and put it in their Thai girlfriend's or wife's name. Legally it's hers, not yours. If the relationship ends, you have no legal claim to that property. She owns it. You own nothing. And I've heard this story play out dozens of times. Expat builds a beautiful house, invests tens of thousands of dollars. Relationship ends. He walks away with nothing. Thailand's property laws protect Thai citizens, not foreigners. That's by design. And it's not going to change. So if you're putting significant money into property that's not in your name, understand you're taking a massive financial risk. Let's talk about something that sounds minor until you live it. The heat. Thailand is hot. Everyone knows that. But there's a difference between knowing it intellectually and experiencing it day after day, month after month. March and April, the hottest months, regularly see temperatures hitting 38 to 42 degrees Celsius. That's around 100 to 108 Fahrenheit. Add high humidity and it feels even worse. You sweat walking to your motorbike. You sweat standing still. You sweat inside your apartment if the air conditioning isn't running. And that brings me to the financial impact most people don't calculate. Electricity bills. If you're running air conditioning constantly, which you will be, your electricity bill can easily hit $150 to $250 per month. In a small apartment, that's not luxury living, that's basic survival in tropical heat. YouTube creators film in air-conditioned cafes and co-working spaces. They don't show you what it's like walking outside at noon when the heat physically hurts. When you can't think straight because you're overheating. When outdoor exercise becomes dangerous. The heat isn't just uncomfortable, it changes how you live. You plan your entire day around avoiding it. You become nocturnal. You stop doing activities you enjoyed in your home country. And for older expats, the heat can be medically dangerous. Heat exhaustion, dehydration, cardiovascular stress. These aren't theoretical risks, they're real concerns that some people only recognize after moving here. Now let's talk about healthcare. Thailand's healthcare in Bangkok is world class. Modern hospitals, English-speaking doctors, affordable compared to the US. Many expats come here specifically for medical tourism. But here's what they don't tell you. That quality healthcare is concentrated in major cities. Bangkok, Chiang Mai to some extent, maybe Phuket. If you're living in a smaller town or rural area, healthcare quality drops dramatically. Longer wait times, fewer specialists, language barriers, older equipment. And for retirees who move to Thailand specifically because it's affordable, this creates a problem. They want to live somewhere quiet and cheap. But if they have a medical emergency, they're hours away from proper care. I've heard stories of expats needing to be transported to Bangkok for serious medical issues because local hospitals couldn't handle it. That's expensive, that's stressful, and it's something you need to factor in when choosing where to live. Now let's discuss something that grinds people down slowly but relentlessly. Thai bureaucracy. If you're living in Thailand long term, you'll deal with systems that seem designed to frustrate you. The 90-day report. This is a legal requirement. Every 90 days you must report your address to immigration, in person or online. Though the online system doesn't always work, miss it and you face fines. Do it late enough and you can jeopardize your visa status. Think about that. You're living in a country legally, paying taxes, contributing to the economy, and every 3 months you have to report to the government like you're on probation. It's invasive, it's annoying, and as of now, it's definitely not going away. Banking can be another nightmare. Opening a bank account as a foreigner can be incredibly difficult. Different banks have different rules. Some branches will do it, others won't. Just know that you need a work permit or specific visa types. You need proof of address. In rare cases, you might need letters from landlords. Then there's the general slowness of everything when it involves the government. Offices where a simple form takes 3 hours to process. Utility setup that requires multiple visits. Any official process that should take 20 minutes will somehow take half a day. None of this is catastrophic, but when you're dealing with it constantly, month after month, year after year, it wears you down. You start to feel like the system isn't designed for foreigners. And the truth is, these things are completely normal to a local. They've come to agreement with it. But the reason Westerners are having this feeling is due to the experiences we've had back home. The way we've always known things to be done is suddenly not the same way anymore. So the first step to having a better stay in Thailand is to accept the fact that this is not your country and set your mind that things will not work how they did back home. Now I want to talk about something darker, something most travel content avoids entirely because it's uncomfortable. The psychological toll of long-term expat life in Thailand. There's a phenomenon I've observed, and other long-term expats have mentioned it too. Thailand attracts a certain type of Western man. Often older, often divorced or disillusioned with life back home. Often looking for a fresh start in a place where their money goes further, and social expectations are different, and for some of them, Thailand becomes a trap. They come here thinking they're escaping problems. But what they're actually doing is avoiding responsibility. They don't build anything meaningful. They don't pursue purpose. They just exist in a comfortable bubble where life is cheap and easy. And after a few years, that hollowness catches up with them. I've met expats who spend every day drinking at the same bar, sitting in the same spot, talking to the same people. They're not living. They're waiting to give up the ghost. Some people call it Peter Pan syndrome. Older men who never grew up, never took on adult responsibilities, and eventually ended up in Thailand where they can prolong that adolescence indefinitely. It's sad, because many of these guys had potential, had skills, had lives back home that they abandoned, and now they're stuck in a cycle they don't know how to escape. The alcohol problem among expats is real. Thailand has cheap beer, cheap liquor, a culture that doesn't stigmatize heavy drinking, and when you combine that with isolation, boredom, and lack of purpose, it becomes destructive. I'm not exaggerating when I say I've seen more expats destroyed by alcohol in Thailand than by scams or bad relationships. It's a silent epidemic that nobody talks about because it's uncomfortable. Also, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything from anyone. Most people have really went through things that are really unbearable. Some were millionaires, but after multiple divorces they become broke. I understand, and I sympathise with these people, but all I'm just doing here is trying to state the obvious, and I hope you guys get me. And then there's the loneliness. Despite being surrounded by millions of people, many expats feel profoundly alone. They don't speak Thai well enough to form deep friendships with locals. The other expats they meet are often transient, moving on after a few months. Relationships with Thai partners can feel transactional, lacking the depth they're used to. You can live in Thailand for decades and never truly feel like you belong. You're always farang, always the foreigner, always outside the culture looking in. That's not a criticism of Thai people, it's just the reality of being a permanent outsider, and for some people that isolation becomes unbearable. So after everything I've laid out, you might be thinking, why does anyone live in Thailand? And that's a fair question, because despite all these problems, millions of expats do live here. Many are happy, many have built good lives, the difference is expectations. The people who thrive in Thailand are the ones who came here understanding these issues. They knew about the pollution, they knew about the bureaucracy, they knew about the cultural differences. They accepted these trade-offs because other aspects of Thailand, the affordability, the food, the weather for most of the year, the pace of life, made it worth it. The people who struggle are the ones who came here expecting paradise, who watched only the YouTube fantasy videos, who thought cheap rent and beautiful beaches would solve all their problems. Thailand isn't a magical solution to life's difficulties. It's a different set of difficulties. If you're considering moving here, ask yourself these questions honestly. Can you handle air pollution for several months each year? Are you prepared to spend money on air purifiers and masks? Can you accept visa insecurity? Can you live with the knowledge that the rules might change and might affect your stay? Can you navigate complex financial and cultural expectations in relationships without losing yourself? Can you handle extreme heat daily? And are you prepared for the electricity costs that come with it? Can you tolerate bureaucratic inefficiency? Can you spend half a day at immigration without losing your mind? Can you build a life with purpose and meaning even when you're culturally isolated? If the answer to most of these is yes, Thailand might work for you. If the answer to several is no, you should seriously reconsider. Because the couple I mentioned at the start, the ones who left Florida for Bangkok, they're now looking at Hua Hin, or maybe leaving Thailand entirely. Not because Thailand is a bad country, but because nobody warned them about the realities. They came expecting one thing and found something completely different. Thailand is an incredible place. The culture is rich, the people are kind, the food is top two, the natural beauty is stunning. But it's not just the fantasy that travel content sells you. The air pollution is real and worsening. The visa system is unpredictable. The financial traps are everywhere. The heat is relentless. The bureaucracy is exhausting. And the psychological challenges of long-term expat life are significant. None of this means you shouldn't move to Thailand, but it means you should move here with your eyes open. Understanding what you're signing up for, prepared for the challenges, realistic about the trade-offs. Because the worst thing you can do is arrive here with unrealistic expectations, invest years of your life, and then realize it's not what you thought it would be. If you found this helpful, share it with anyone considering Thailand. They need the full picture, not just the highlight reel. Drop a comment with your experience. If you live in Thailand, what challenges have I missed? If you're considering moving, what are you most concerned about? Subscribe for more honest, unfiltered content about Southeast Asia. No tourism board propaganda, just reality. As some of you already know, this is Journals Beyond Horizons. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.